Hey everyone, Derek here with Ash Paulson and Tom Arnold to give our impressions of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which was finally shown off at the Ubisoft conference. And no Andre, he's left us for the far-off land of Disney, and he'll be back tomorrow to cover Nintendo properly, of course, but man just can't stay away. So guys, he's gone. Let's see what we think of Mario and Rabbids. So, Tom, right off the bat, what'd you think of this reveal? And forgive us for our hotel's vacuum in the background.
Yeah.
We're bootlegging it, so, Tom?
Well, I was happily surprised, I would say, and I really like the tactics look to this game. It looks like it's a new, interesting take on a Mario RPG series, and, more strategy. I liked Advanced Wars in the past, so I'm pleasantly surprised and looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think I am too. I'm still more confused by the fact that this game even exists than anything. But yeah, I definitely got some XCOM vibes from that trailer, which I think is like the obvious comparison. But the crossover elements are working a little better than I expected, at least based on the announcement trailer. Like, I'm not a Rabbids fan, and I've gone on record saying that, but seeing them interact with Mario and Peach and Luigi and Yoshi, I don't know, it felt more natural than I expected it to. So I'm definitely more interested than I was. I don't know if I'm fully sold yet, but I definitely want to see more of it, and I really want to get my hands on the game at E3 now.
Yeah, I mean, I was always curious about it. I always thought it would be kind of funny if the game did end up pretty good because, when everybody heard about this game, it's like, oh, it's stupid, that's not going to work, I don't want to see them together, it's just going to be awful. And I was like, I still did kind of like the original Rabbids game. I thought their humor was pretty entertaining, at least in that game. It wore thin, but this also seems much different as humor-wise to what came before, where before it was just random thing happens, Rabbids screams, and that's not the case in Mario and Rabbids so far. It's definitely a little bit more varied. They actually have personalities. I like you can definitely tell the personality of Rabbid Luigi and Rabbid Peach, and I like how even the Mario characters are emoting a little bit more. You don't get too much out of Peach, but just enough that you get a sense of her actual emotions.
Yeah, I like that we're seeing Mario emote in ways that we usually are only reserved for, like, Smash trailers. Usually you only get that kind of emotion from Mario characters in, I guess, like Smash CG trailers. But yeah, we're seeing him emote in this, and Peach as well. And I have to say, even as a non-fan of the Rabbids, I definitely kind of laughed to myself in that the first time I saw the trailer, and Rabbid Peach does that huge vault jump, and it's like taking selfies while she's jumping. And I'm like, okay, that elicited a good laugh. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of down with this humor. Like, it's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with the Donkey Kong Rabbid later on, that just how huge he is. That's going to be pretty unique later on, I feel.
Yeah, it really does seem like, I think it helps a lot that maybe that we're not beating up on the usual Mario enemies. It's Rabbids dressed up in weird ways, and then of course just weird Rabbids in general. And it's always kind of fun to beat up on the Rabbids. That's that was the enjoyment of the original game, shooting with the plunger gun. So yeah, why not? Let's get into it and see what we can do. And honestly, looking at the gameplay, I was immediately impressed with what they were pulling off. It does look like XCOM, but they even have some new touches in there. Yeah, there's the destructible environments and all of that, but there's also that like boost jumping that you can do to get to various places. And like the one combo move that they pulled off with Luigi looks so impressive. I'm like, okay, I'm getting a good vibe from this because I do like strategy games, especially turn-based ones. So yeah. I'm all for this.
Yeah, no, I like turn-based combat in general. So this is definitely on my radar. I feel like like the way they're presenting it, you don't necessarily have to be a Rabbids fan going into it to maybe get the most out of this. So I am happy to see that, and I totally echo what you were saying, Derek. I love that team jump type move that we saw them doing. It actually kind of reminded me of the Inkling Super Jump in Splatoon a bit, like the way it looks, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like there's going to be room for some advanced strategies to be devised here, and I'll be curious to see where on the difficulty spectrum this game, falls, because, with Nintendo involved, I feel like they're going to want to skew it toward the easier side, but at the same time, with this kind of gameplay, I'm wondering if they'll start you off easy and then really ramp things up later.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and regarding team jumps, if the enemy Rabbids have similar attacks against you, like you're really gonna have to watch out for where your placement is, because you might think you're safe on the other side of the map, and boom, they're there all of a sudden, and oh, you're dead. And with 4 players each side, maybe that'll be pretty tough.
Yeah.
I'm very curious what Rabid Bowser is going to be like, because there's no way that's not going to be a thing.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we saw like Rabid Piranha Plant, of course, Rabid DK. It's like it's going to see how how demented they go, and I do like the look of this game. It's gorgeous. There's a really great art style to it. It's very clean looking, and you were mentioning this before, Tom, where you were actually a little worried about the replay value because the way the battles are set up is that you walk into them and it's not a random setup. So I can sort of see what you mean by that might limit the replayability a bit.
Yeah, and replayability, and also how if maybe there's just no grinding in this game, we can hope. But yeah, see, you don't actually teleport to another environment when you bump into an enemy. You don't teleport to a battleground. The battleground is right there as part of the world, and it just kind of shifts gears and draws a boundary around where the battlefield is. So I'm thinking that maybe there won't be much backtracking in this game, is my guess.
Sure. And speaking of grinding, actually, I did notice when we were watching the gameplay video that characters did not seem to earn experience or level up after a battle. So that tells me that your stats are generally going to be dependent more on equipment and maybe accessories or whatnot, weapons, than actual like experience and stats and things like that.
Yeah, we did see sort of like a tree involved,
like an ability tree.
Ability tree.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you get different abilities from the different guns, and that's how they become powered up.
Or maybe you somehow get like skill points that you can spend on the ability tree to unlock different. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I can kind of see that, but it does, there doesn't seem to be too much to really concern yourself about, which is probably a good thing because you are going to have 8 characters, and I wonder if you're going to be able to have all 8 at once, or you're going to have to pick like a team of 4 for each one.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see what advantages and disadvantages bringing in Luigi, for example, versus Rabbid Luigi is going to introduce. Like, I wonder how the main characters are going to differ in each example from their Rabbid versions. That'll be interesting to see.
Well, Peach is definitely a lot weirder in Rabbids 4.
that is for sure. And and props to Peach. I did like that moment in the trailer where like Mario looks like he's gonna go rescue her as usual, and she's like, "Wait, I got this gun," and she's like, "Oh, I shot this thing. Oh, I'm down with this. Like, this is cool. I'm good to go."
Yeah, and there's even that fun interaction between Peach and Rabbid Peach, where like, Rabbid Peach is looking her over, checking the dress, and be like, "I'm not impressed."
Right.
There is fun interaction that is different types, a different kind of humor from the Rabbids, which I'm really appreciating. It's not the same joke over and over. These are character archetypes that they're going to seem to build the humor off of. That, I don't know, gives me a little bit more hope about the potential for this game's atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's not even with the characters, about how the Rabbid universe sort of laid waste to the Mushroom Kingdom, and you see, what was it, some honey or something on a block, and then a Goomba is stuck on his back. He's kind of moving his legs like a turtle. You would think we left for a Koopa, but...
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of atmosphere, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that Grant Kirkhope is doing the soundtrack for this, which, I mean, this seems like exactly the kind of game that he's just made to score, because it's, it's bright, googly-eyed characters, literally googly-eyed characters.
Yeah, that's true.
It's got a bright, fun setting. Like, this seems like the kind of game that is right up his alley, and I cannot wait to hear the music he comes up with this.
And Laura Kate Dale did absolutely call that one. Like,
she did.
She got pretty much every detail. Like, she was right about the name. She was right about how the game would play. She was right about Kirkhope doing the music. She was really on point, and mad props to that, because I know there's a lot of pushback because of that, because let's be honest, the game seems utterly ridiculous. Why do the Rabbids get to team up with Mario but not Sonic?
Exactly.
And I think we got our answer during the conference, is that one of the things Miyamoto said immediately was, don't make it a platformer. Make it something completely different.
Right.
And that's what they set out to do. With Sonic, it makes it a little harder to not be a platformer because, well, he's another platformer.
Right.
So it sucks, because trust me, I'd love to see that crossover beyond Olympics, but that might be the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, that's true. And for me personally, the weirdest thing about this game is not the Rabbids being in there, but sort of Mario getting a gun, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I can use a gun."
Yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, and you say Mario and Sonic, but that image of Mario with a gun in his arm just makes me want a Mario and Mega Man crossover.
Course,
that much more. It's killing me with the. He's got a gun arm.
Let's throw Metroid in there too. So
Let's get As long as there's no crawling, because Metroid can't crawl.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I mean, we're gonna keep this short because we got to run off to Sony very soon. But just in general, from first impressions, and I want to say that I'm looking forward to this. And the team seems incredibly passionate. When the director got highlighted in the crowd, he seemed to get a little teary-eyed because I guess, of course, dream to work on Mario with Miyamoto's approval. That's big. And even Kirkhope on Twitter was like, it was such a dream to actually be able to score a Mario game. So I get a sense of passion from these guys, and they've been working at it for 3 years. That's a lot of time to put into it. And kudos to them to hold it back for so long, and now we're going to get it in the end of August.
Yeah.
That's a quick turnaround as far as official announcement to release.
Right, and I typically prefer that, whatever game we're talking about. It's fun to see a super early look at a game that's not due for a few years, but I really enjoy it when we see our first look at a game, whether it's been leaked or not, and then it's so far in development that, hey, guess what, guys? It's coming out in a couple of months. That's something that Apple does a lot, and I always appreciate that kind of really short hype cycle with Apple products. Yeah. And I like to see that, mirrored here with E3 announcements.
Yeah, really neat surprise. You normally expect maybe a winter release, but it's like, whoa, no, August before September even. Like, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, we're like 2 months away already, so yeah.
Great. So, any other thoughts, Tom?
Definitely loving the tactics element to it. I mean, if it was a game, let's say even without Mario in it, I think I would be interested based on the RPG tactics elements in it alone. So that's saying something. I think the Mario is a great bonus, but I think the gameplay is there where I would have bought it even without that.
The XCOM framework really works, because I've heard really great things about XCOM, and of course it's doing its own thing in this way, while still having that basic idea. The last thing I want to mention before we wrap this up, though, is I would guess that we're not going to see anything of this game tomorrow at Nintendo's thing. It frees up a bunch of time. You don't need to detail it. Ubisoft has it covered. Everybody's talking about that game. I wonder if it might be one of the big highlights of the Ubisoft press conference beyond Good and Evil 2. And a couple other surprises. But yeah, I think it was a great way to start their show, and again, it helps Nintendo by, there's 10 minutes we don't have to talk about Mario and Rabbids at all.
Yeah, that's something I would expect to see a little more of on the Treehouse Live, as they, go in more in depth into the game. But yeah, I don't expect to see this in the digital event because, we got those 25 precious minutes for games that either have not been announced or games that have, but we don't know as much about still, like Super Mario Odyssey. So yeah, I don't expect to see it during the digital event.
Yeah, we might just see it in a release date list of here's all your upcoming Switch games.
Right, right.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I mean, that's our quick basic impressions of Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Surprisingly good. Who knew?
Yeah. No, like I said, I'm not quite at the point yet where I'm going to go rush out and get it as soon as I can, but it is on my radar now where before it wasn't, and I am definitely eating some crow in terms of not, along with a lot of other people, in terms of not seeing how Mario and Rabbids could possibly cross over together. So
yeah, hasn't convinced everybody, but I think it was a definite turnaround for people who were like, crap, this actually looks good.
Yeah.
Who knew? So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more E3 details on everything Nintendo and other things gaming as well. All right, guys, bye.